What this is describing is a woman who is betrothed unto an husband. Okay? What does betrothed mean? Well, the word betrothed is an archaic word in English, which we don't really use anymore, which means to enter into a formal agreement to marry. This woman has entered into a formal agreement to marry a man. This woman is this man's wife, but they have not slept together yet. They have not had sex yet, and so she is still a virgin. But what a marriage is in modern day America is essentially a big party, and what it's always been, okay, a marriage ceremony is a big party celebrating the fact that you're about to have sex for the first time. That's what a marriage ceremony is, okay? I'm sorry to break it to you. I'm sorry to make it, less magical and romantic than what it is. But the stupid gay marriage ceremony that everyone wants to have, you're literally going to a party to celebrate two people having sex for the first time. Because you're not supposed to have sex before marriage. In modern Christian mindset, you get married the day you have this marriage ceremony and you have this priest or pastor officiate your marriage, okay? And once your marriage has been officiated, you are now officially married and you can have sex with one another when you weren't allowed to before. What modern people have come to the conclusion of is essentially that it's fine to have sex and do sexual things with other people before the marriage ceremony because, well, you're not really married yet. So it's not like you're, committing adultery. And so you'll have these things like bachelor parties where you have like all these strippers and stuff. And you'll have people just sort of, going around and having one night stands. And, you'll have people cheat on their fiance and leave their fiance and think nothing of it because, oh, well, we were just engaged. It's not like we were married. This is not what the Bible teaches, right? The Bible teaches that the minute that you guys are engaged, okay, to be married, you've made the formal agreement to be married, you are now husband and wife. Now, you may not have had a ceremony yet, and you may not have had sex yet and come together, but you are married the second you agree to be married. Because biblically speaking, marriage is not a ceremony. There is never commanded in the Bible a ceremony to get married. The Bible says that marriage is a contractual agreement. When you find someone to get married, when you come to them and you say, I want to marry you, in other words, I want to only have sex with you and no one else, and I will provide for you the rest of your life. Once you have entered into that agreement and you have both agreed to do that, you are now officially married. Jesus' first miracle was at a wedding. Well, yeah, there's nothing wrong with doing a wedding, okay? But the Bible doesn't command a wedding. We're talking about what the Bible commands here, and we're using God's commandments to figure out what is righteous and good. When you get down on your one knee or whatever, and you pull out the ring, you're like, oh, will you make me the happiest man in the world and marry me? When you do that, okay, and everyone's looking around, you got the photographer out, and everyone's looking around, and they're like, when are we gonna get married? Like, all the girls are like going to their boyfriend, oh my gosh, when are we gonna get married? Okay, like, when you do that, you are making a verbal contract, what is called A verbal contract. Now, I'm not talking about legally, like in the US legal system. I'm talking about in the eyes of God. You're making a verbal contract. When that woman says yes to that, she is now agreeing to a verbal contract. And if you break your verbal contract, you are to be put to death. It's a very big thing here, okay? And so once you have done that little engagement thing, okay, or you have even if you haven't done an engagement and you just said to a woman, I want to marry you, and she agrees that she also wants to marry you, you are now married, okay? You are betrothed in a formal agreement to be married, which is why it's very important to, not touch a woman, like it says in 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Now, concerning the things whereof you wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. And it goes on here a little bit later, and it talks about a man having a virgin. Let me see if I can find that. But if any man think that he behaveth himself uncomely towards his virgin, or if she pass the flower of her age, and need so require, let him do what he will, he sinneth not, let them marry. So when you are betrothed, okay, you haven't officially married yet. From my understanding, marriage, okay, is when you actually come together and have sex for the first time. Because that is essentially what the marriage ceremony is celebrating. It's a big celebration for the first time that you have sex. And when you have sex for the first time after you're married, this is referred to as consummating the marriage. And the word consummate, if we look up the word consummate means to make complete. When a man and a woman are husband and wife, but they have not yet had sex, they are betrothed, but they're still husband and wife. And once they have had sex, they have now married, okay? The betrothed, the formal agreement to be married, has now been brought to completion when they actually have sex. And he's saying here that if a man is, in this situation like this guy was, where he has a virgin betrothed to him, and he feels as though he's behaving himself uncomely towards her, then they should just consummate the marriage. And the point of marriage is to avoid fornication. So the point of getting betrothed and agreeing to marry is so that it is no longer fornication or sex without any strings attached to it, without any requirement for you to actually love and care for the person that you've had sex with.